Next on our list is the head. What we're going to do is we're going to take all this apart, make sure everything was Loctited the way it should have been, which is basically only 2 bolts right now. Don't really care about the head button. So we're going to take these 2 bolts on the inside of the blade grips. We're going to take the blade grips off, make sure the thrust bearings in here were greased. If not, we'll add some grease to them. We're going to take out the dampeners on the inside here because we want to put the red ones in. The red ones, I guess, are the harder of the 2 sets. They come with black ones in, I believe. Black ones are just a little bit softer, and for flybar lifts, you want it as hard as possible, dampeners in there, because you don't really want any dampening on the head. The flybar system takes care of all that for us. So let's go ahead and rip these apart and make sure everything is the way it was supposed to be. Okay, let me zoom in here. Looking at these the dampeners, I'm sorry, you can see that one I can squeeze pretty easily, and the other one is really tough. You can't squeeze that one. So you definitely want to put the hard red ones in there. These ones are just way too soft for a flybarless system. And they go in really easy. What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to put a little bit of grease on them first and then slide them in. Wipe off any extra. Let's get the other side. Don't forget to put your spacer on. Make sure you put some grease on there and on this side as well. Put the spacer on. And then what I like to do for these is I take some Loctite, put it on a toothpick, and then take the toothpick and put it on the inside of the spindle threads. I don't like to put the Loctite on the bolt itself when it's going in there because the bolt goes through your thrust bearings and other bearings in here. So we don't want to risk getting any Loctite into those bearings. So I just put it in the spindle itself and then wipe it out as best I can because you don't need a lot in there. See all this extra I can just wipe out, and that way it doesn't squeeze up into the bearings at all. And these you want to be really tight. You don't want to throw a blade. Alright, next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your swash plate and check every single one of your ball links on there. You want to take them out, put Loctite on them, and then screw them back in. I already did mine. All of them were Loctited already except for one. So it was a good thing I did check it because that one would have come off otherwise. The other thing we're going to do is assemble the blade grips for the fly barless, and it's really easy to do. There's a notch on here. All you do is you slide that on there. Might be a little tight fit. Make sure your blade grips are in the right orientation, so make sure this one is up. The words always come up. And then same on this side. And take your bolt, put some Loctite on there, and bolt it on. And then same thing with the ball link. You just screw it right into the end here with some Loctite on it. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Alright, we got our blade grips on now. And also our link handles, I guess you call them, whatever. And we'll actually make up a pair of links that'll go from here down to the swash. Next thing we want to do is we're going to just put our swash down onto the main shaft. That can come all the way down on there. And then we'll put the head on there, and then we take and slide our bolt right through. You want your bend here to come off to the left. So when we put this in, let's see if I can get it in. How this should connect to the swash is with the curve going left. If the curve is going to the right, which I can't even do now, then just flip it over to the other side. And don't forget there's a little spacer in between the end of the bolt and your washout arms. So on the other side, make sure it's coming out to the left. Put that on, put our spacer on, and then we can go ahead and tighten up our Jesus bolt here. There we have it. Now we'll make up the two links that come from the swash and go up to the blade grips, and our head will be done. Okay, so for the first link, what I did was I just kind of eyeballed it up, and it looks like somewhere for me, since I'm using the quick UK links on here instead of the stock links, the distance in between the two links is 35 millimeters. And I'm going to just stick with that for now until I actually do the head setup. We'll probably have to end up adjusting it a little bit, but for right now I'm going to go with 35 millimeters in between there just to get something on there. So I'll snap this one on here. Where am I bowling? And then I'll go ahead and make the other one and get that one on here. Alright, we have our head links on here now. And I also got the boom supports for a T-Rex 550 helicopter that I'm going to be using on here instead. So I started putting those on, but when you put those on, you also have to put on your back plate here, because the bolts that go in for that go on underneath your boom support. So in order to get these on, I'm just going to go ahead and put the plate on. I don't think I'm going to have any electronics I'll need to get at. I was keeping that open in order to get my hands in there to do stuff, but I don't think it's going to work out. So I'm going to just put the plate on, put the boom supports on, and be done with that part.